Yes. Welcome back to another edition of Go Long Live. I am Barry Long the second, not the first, not the third. Got my main man Mo Murphy about to join us here shortly, as well as Sage Alvarez. They're my co-hosts. We are live on CoachellaValley.com. We are live on today's Canada.com and today's California.com. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. We also appreciate everybody for just showing love, subscribing, for commenting, for retweeting. We really do appreciate all of you. As you can see, my voice is still I'm still battling whatever I've been battling. What's going on, Mo? What up, Mo Murphy?
What's going on, bro? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Now that the Dodgers have won yesterday, we were down 0-2 in the series, and we were down 5-2, headed into the bottom of the eighth, and we exploded for 4 runs, ended up getting the lead, winning the game 6-4, and Kenley Jansen, who I've been very critical of, a lot of Dodger fans have been very critical of, he's let us down. I like to say his number is 74 because he's lost the game for us 74 times. That's what it's felt like. That's an over-exaggeration, but that's what it's felt like. But he came through for us last night and struck out the last 3 hitters for the Atlanta Braves, and we made it a series. So we'll see today. The game 4 is on today. We also had an exciting finish in the Boston series along with the Houston Astros. Boston was on the brink of going up 3-1 on them. The game was tied in the ninth inning, and the Astros ended up exploding for 7 runs. And it feels like this year, the Major League Baseball, the World Series is going to be decided by offense. And a lot of years it's decided by pitching, by managers' decisions and key critical moments of the game. But this year it feels like it's going to be decided by whoever hits the most home runs, whoever can put up an 8 spot, a 9 spot, is going to win the World Series. So it'll be interesting to see how these series play out. But more baseball on tonight. The Dodgers versus the Braves should be an interesting one. So real quick, before we get into all the stories that are going on right now, because we got Ben Simmons we got to get to. We got opening night last night for NBA. We got some breaking news from the Browns. Let them know everywhere they can find you at right now, Mo.
Yeah, you can find me at Up in Flames Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Mo_Cheese15 on Twitter, Instagram. You can listen to the Up in Flames Sports Podcast pretty much anywhere you can get your podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and then you can always catch me my weekly NBA show on Dash Radio at 11 a.m. Eastern every Monday, and that's kind of the Off the Ball Network Mondays also. So my guys Chris, Steven, and Kenneth, breaking the game off the ball podcast, Shoot or Shoot podcast, and then close your Monday night out. Yeah, Shoot or Shoot podcast, and then close your Monday night out with the Hoopers podcast every Monday on Dash Radio.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Is that a Tampa Bay Rays hat, bro?
Of course.
Are you a fan of the Tampa Bay Rays?
Yes, I am.
Okay, because you're a Florida guy, so yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Well, that's a Dodger hat. It's a black one, so it came with a new hat today too. So let's talk about Ben Simmons, man. Ben Simmons was reportedly kicked out of practice by Coach Doc Rivers and suspended for a game, which he will lose money. And so, he tried to avoid losing money by coming back back with a bad attitude at that. And now he's still losing money. But we saw him being kicked out of practice, and then we saw what Joel Embiid had to say about Ben Simmons. And he basically said that, I don't care about that, man. I could care less about that, man. Basically, he's saying that we don't have to babysit that man. And we never thought they had a really good relationship to begin with. These two have had some issues in the past. But what he said yesterday about Ben Simmons kind of lets me know that he's not welcome in the locker room. He's not welcome by the front office right now. He's just in bad. It's just a tumultuous situation. So I think that they should just get rid of Ben Simmons. What do you think they should do, Mo?
We've talked about this before, the handling of the situation, who's wrong on both sides for whatever reason. But as far as what Philly should do, they should trade him. But at the same time, you can't trade him for nothing. I understand. Yeah, you can't do that. But at the same time, Philly needs to realize their terminology when they're talking about value. You want to stay competitive, but you building your team around Joel Embiid. You don't necessarily need Damian Lillard for Ben Simmons to be a competitor in the Eastern Conference. If you could send him to Minnesota and get a Damian Lillard and maybe a Jaden McDaniels. And I know they're kind of hesitant on giving up a young guy like Jaden McDaniels.
You mean D'Angelo?
D'Angelo Russell and
Okay.
Jaden McDaniels.
Okay.
Like, if you could get them for Ben Simmons, like, okay, you were missing some scoring in the playoffs. You needed a guard who could really score at will. And Minnesota will have a piece to build around. Have Anthony Edwards, have Ben Simmons. Give them exactly what they need. So I don't know if Minnesota wants to do that deal, but that's the type of deal that Philly needs to be looking for. Also, like the Cavs are interested. So maybe a Colin Sexton, another player, maybe a Seti Uzman, and a Kevin Love to match the just get rid of Kevin Love. We know he doesn't want to be in Cleveland anyway. But to match the, contracts have to match and stuff. But like Colin Sexton is that scoring guard, can get a bucket. That's the role you need. But if you don't get rid of Ben Simmons and you want to play the stubborn game, like at the end of the day, if the man willing to lose all that money, he's not going to play. And guess what? Philly hurting themselves because you could trade him for whatever and you could get more to add value to you making a run for a championship this year, or else you're wasting another year of Joel Embiid. They need either A, they need Ben Simmons, or B, they need whatever the replacement or the trade value for Ben Simmons would be to go on a run this year. And so with you not having Ben Simmons on the court or having his trade value or his replacement, you're not really going to go anywhere. They're a good team, middle of the pack Eastern Conference team, 4th or 5th at best, as constructed right now with no Ben Simmons on the court. Trade Ben Simmons, get the value, get you D'Lo and Jaden McDaniels, get you a Colin Sexton and Seti Uzman, get you CJ McCollum straight up, like something like that. But they want Dame. They want a Bradley Beal. And it's not going to happen, especially with all this. The longer you wait, the lower his value goes because, like, it's looking bad on him personally, and people might not want to take that chance because they look at it and they like, when all things hit the fan, this how Ben Simmons act. Not everybody be willing to take that on the longer it goes out. But the quicker as Philly, you can nip that in the bud. He could get his rep back and have a fresh start somewhere else. Boom. All sides are happy at the end of the day.
Yeah, and the thing is that he is looking bad right now. And the team is, in my opinion, Daryl Morey, they're looking bad right now because they're trying to hold on to him. And like you said, they want so much value for him. And a lot has been said about his psyche and his ability to handle, animosity with teammates, his ability to handle adversity just in the league. But a lot of people, in my opinion, I feel kind of bad for Ben Simmons at times because he is from Australia and he's not from America, even though he speaks English. And people forget that, that he doesn't have all his friends and family here. So he might not like all American food. We don't know, what his situation is, but he's definitely not happy in Philly. And right. It's time to get him a new scenery, a new place to be, a new head coach, teammates that believe in him. And yeah, you're right. If they can get less value for him than what they've been asking, it's time. It's time. Yeah. The time is now because it's only going to get worse. And his attitude is not right. If it's not right in practice, what do you think he's going to look like? What do you think his body language is going to look like when the games that come on, when they play national TV? You know what I mean? So yeah. This is a terrible situation. I think it's making him look bad, but I think it makes Philly look worse. Like, just let him go. Let him go. Somebody tell you, if a girl tells you she doesn't want to be with you, let her go. Don't look desperate out here in these streets. Yeah. So yeah, Sage Alvarez is going to be joining us shortly. This is Go Long Live. Now, we had another story about another vaccine that we're going to talk about. But right now, there's a rumor out there between Kyrie and Damian Lillard. They're saying the Brooklyn Nets are considering trying to trade Kyrie Irving to the Portland Trailblazers for Damian Lillard. Do you think that's a good trade? Just straight up 1-for-1? Or do you think that that the Trailblazers should want more?
So follow me here, because it depends on what aspect you look at the trade on whether it's even or not. A non-basketball aspect, the Nets win that by a long shot because they're getting Damian Lillard. They're getting a guy who's all in and winning a championship. Ooh. So the non-basketball aspect, now people may not agree. Kyrie and Dame are essentially, they're very similar as far as the type of player they are. Maybe you got Dame a little bit higher than Kyrie, but if Kyrie was fully all in basketball and you could take all the other narratives out of it, Kyrie and Dame are essentially the same player. So the non-basketball side, the Nets are completely winning that kind of trade for the simple fact, like, we know Kyrie Irving's not getting vaccinated. In New York City, it's mandatory that you get, vaccinated and So Kyrie won't be able to play a game. The Nets aren't doing that part-time stuff. So essentially, they'd be getting a player for nothing because right now they're not going to have Kyrie all season. Until he gets vaccinated, they're not going to have him because they already said they're not doing the part-time stuff. They don't care what it takes. And that means, KD and Harden got to do what they do. But like I said, from a basketball standpoint, it's fairly even. But because you're going to look at it at a non-basketball standpoint, which is how everybody values Kyrie Irving in the first place,
Yep.
the Nets are going to win that by a long shot just for the simple fact right now they don't have Kyrie. They will probably not have Kyrie all season. If there's anybody who we think will stand pat on not getting vaccinated and stick up for what he believes in, it's Kyrie Irving. So on a non-basketball standpoint, the Nets actually getting somebody to play that is on the same caliber or a little bit better in Dame Lillard for absolutely nothing. Like you're adding Dame Lillard and giving away nothing with giving up Kyrie right now because he can't play. So I would say the Nets will win it by a long shot, and there's no way do I believe that Portland does it unless Kyrie said, hey, because I don't have to be vaccinated out there, I don't know if it's mandatory in Oregon, so I can't.
It's not.
So since it's not mandatory in Oregon, and he could go play in New York as an away team, as an away visiting player,
which is ridiculous.
I would play in Portland. That's a whole nother. But if he's like, hey, I'll play in Portland, and Dame's like, you know what, and we swap, and Kyrie's like, I will play, then I would think about doing it if I'm Brooklyn. But I don't know if Portland does that. Like, I don't think Portland does that.
I don't think. Okay, not only could Portland not do that trade, it's not. I mean, you think Kyrie's going to Portland?
And that's what I say. Like, if he's
that's not even a debate. There's no. That's not even. There's not even a real trade discussion. I wouldn't even. Yeah. He would retire before he go play for Portland. Come on, that's the most ridiculous. He would retire. That's not even. There's not even an option. That's not even like you have to be in your top 4 options, and he's not. Portland's not even in the top 25.
If you're just now joining us, this is Go Long Live. I am Barry Long II. That to my left,
Portland.
To my left, but to your right,
I don't even know.
Sage Alvarez, and then we got Mo Murphy right here. We're live on CoachellaValley.com. Yeah, it seems like
not
ridiculous.
A debate.
Portland would never do it because it's unsure what's going to happen with Kyrie and his vaccination status, which could hinder him from certain places. I think it's ridiculous that if you play in New York and you're a resident of New York, you're not allowed to go to the gyms if you're unvaccinated. But if you are Bradley Beal, who's unvaccinated, on an away team with the Washington Wizards, you're allowed to come in and play. I think that's ridiculous, but that's a whole other topic for a whole other day. But yeah, there's no way he's going to Portland. There's no way. Now, we saw NBA action last night. We saw the Warriors. This is the big takeaway for me. The Warriors versus the Lakers, 121 to 114. We saw AD and LeBron James have great offensive nights. We saw Russell Westbrook struggled. He had 8 points. He had 4 turnovers. He had some moments where he looked terrible. And he played, for a Washington Wizards team last year that had no other stars besides Bradley Beal for half the year. But a lot of times when you turn on the Wizards, you saw Russell Westbrook look like it was him versus the world. And he has to realize that he's going to have to play a little different style of basketball. But I like with all LeBron James' new teammates, they always take, a few games to gel. And by the playoffs, it's a well-oiled machine. Now, my takeaway from last night was that the Warriors are going to be a contender this year, especially when they get back Klay Thompson. You saw what Steph Curry was able to do on a bad shooting night. He was still able to drop 21, 10, and 10. So my takeaway from last night was the Lakers will be fine, but the Warriors are somebody that we should definitely keep an eye on. What do you say, Sage?
I mean, the Warriors, they were always going to be fine with Stephen Curry. I mean, that's one of the greatest. This is the greatest shooter in the game ever. There's no one better than Stephen Curry. I don't care if any old head that comes at me and says this guy was better. No, Stephen Curry is the best shooter of all time. It's not even close. So with that dynamic, the Warriors, they're always going to be in that contention. I mean, last year you saw with no Klay, you got to have Klay. Klay is that number 2 option. If you don't, and realistically, if LeBron didn't have AD, the Lakers are not going to win a championship. Take away anyone's number 2, and they're not winning a championship.
And they didn't have James Wiseman either.
That also affected. He's a huge part. I'm so big on James Wiseman. He's such a great player. I've been watching just so much film on him, and I think he's just going to keep progressing. And when he comes back from the injury, we're gonna see just the next level of James Wiseman. I'm excited for it.
So Mo Murphy, when you watch that game and you watch the takeaway, if Golden State is fully healthy and they're out there with James Wiseman, with Klay Thompson, with Steph Curry, although they don't have the greatest depth in the NBA right now, what do you see them being fully healthy? Where do you see them finishing at in placement in the Western Conference?
They
2 seed, 3 seed?
I don't know about the seed because injuries, how people come back, all that plays. I don't really like to who's the best, if all things considered right now, I think Utah will probably finish. They're built best for the regular season right now. They got essentially the same team. They added Rudy Gay and Hassan Whiteside. That's not going to be tough as far as figuring out chemistry. So Utah will probably be the number 1 seed again. I think the Lakers will end up the 2 seed. They don't really have injuries right now. I mean, Horton Tucker, Kendrick Nunn didn't play, but we also got Malik Monk. They'll be fine. Trevor Ariza will come back. They're still very deep. The Warriors right now, they're probably the 3rd or 4th best team. I was high on the Warriors the whole time. I never understood anybody who was like, if Klay comes back, they won't be that competitive. Then they got Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga. Kuminga didn't play. Moody is still trying to figure out, and they're young guys. They may not play that much. Jordan Poole is emerging as he might be a Man of the Year candidate.
He dropped 20 yesterday.
Yeah, and he could be a 6th Man of the Year candidate. And that speaks to the depth. When Moses Moody gets acclimated to the NBA game as a rookie, takes a little while. After Christmas, you start feeling. After Christmas, prior to the All-Star game and beyond, you start seeing what teams are going to be. Just like the NFL, except the NBA take a little bit longer because, there's a lot more factors and you don't just play once a week and have a ton of practice. Some of your practices in the games. But once Moody gets acclimated to what NBA life is like, once Kuminga gets healthy and he get acclimated into whatever his role may be, Damian Lee, the Warriors are a great team. And the Lakers, if anybody's hating on the Lakers for losing the first game and they're trying to make a testament that it's not going to work, 2 of the most hated players in the NBA right now are playing together, LeBron James, Russell Westbrook. So they're going to get extra criticism anyway. And 2, have we not seen this before? Like you said, Barry, have we not seen this before from Russell Westbrook? Have we not seen this before from any LeBron James team when he gets new teammates? They don't gel right away and look like a championship team day one. He's playing around a whole new team outside of Anthony Davis and Horton Tucker. He got Dwight Howard back. DeAndre Jordan joined the Lakers. Carmelo Anthony's a Laker. He traded away essentially most of his teammates for Russell Westbrook and brought in older vets. So this is a whole new team that has to find chemistry. You don't just find chemistry in training camp. So the Lakers will be fine. Russell Westbrook will be fine. He'll be okay. He did this with Washington last year. Everybody was ready to count him out and told us he wasn't this. And then he was, by the end, everybody had to apologize that criticized him at the beginning of the season for playing bad. He dealt with COVID, dealt with an injury or whatever to become another Mr. Triple-Double King. So the Lakers are fine. The Warriors are contenders. I felt like that was going to be the case last night anyway.
Yeah.
I felt like the Warriors would win that game. And for the simple fact, I know what the Warriors are. They can run and gun. They mismatch with the Lakers right now. And the Lakers got some things to figure out. We all know that. So it's not panic for the Lakers, but you do got to give props to the Warriors that they are contenders.
Absolutely. And we saw on the Eastern Conference side, we saw the Bucks come out strong against the Nets. They were able to defeat them. And we talked about it yesterday that one of our shocking predictions that were going to happen this season. And Mo Murphy, you said that the Bucks might repeat, and they look like they're coming in with that same energy that they had last year.
It looked good. It don't look as bad as it sounded yesterday, don't it?
It does. It definitely does.
Don't he? That's all I said. I said my dark prediction. Hey, the Bucks could go back to back, and Giannis could win MVP. And right now, Giannis looked like he picked up where he left off, winning a championship. The atmosphere in Milwaukee is crazy. And I'm not saying they're flat out better than Brooklyn. I'm not saying that because they won the first game of the regular season. Because we saw this and Clippers. Yeah, against Brooklyn. But we saw this with the Lakers and Clippers last year, and the past 2 years, and everybody was willing to deem the Clippers were a better team. It takes a while, and Brooklyn got to figure some things out. There's no Kyrie. They plan on having Kyrie. They got some things to figure out. Harden coming back healthy. There's just a lot of things to figure out. They got some new pieces. Bringing LaMarcus Aldridge back. Another year. They got some things to figure out, but Milwaukee doesn't. How many new additions they got? Yeah. Nobody for this, but how many new additions did they have? That's my biggest thing is when you start talking about regular season, teams that look the same. That's why the Utah Jazz were so good last year. And that's why Milwaukee going to be so good this year, because they're starting off ahead of most teams because they ain't really got many new additions that have to gel.
Or problems. And you got problems in Brooklyn. We don't know what's going to happen with Kyrie. We got problems in the Eastern Conference with also with the Philadelphia 76ers. Yep. So, they're going to look like the favorite to come out of the East right now. But we'll see how Brooklyn shapes out. But now let's talk right now. We are Go Long Live with Very Long 2, Sage Alvarez, Mo Murphy. We are live on CoachellaValley.com. Today's California.com. Today's Canada. We want to talk a little bit about the before we get into NFL, we want to talk a little bit about this story that came out of college football, and just we're really gonna give our short opinions on it because we don't have very much time. But the Washington State University head coach Nick Rolovich has been fired for not following the state's mandate order, and he was fired along with 4 other assistant coaches. There he is, right there, and just a crazy situation right now because we've seen this happen all over the country in different professions where teachers are being required to be vaccinated. It's a mandate. And if you don't comply by a certain date, you will be fired. Same thing with the military. We've seen it just a lot of places. But for it to happen in college sports right now was kind of shocking to a lot of people. But like I say, just get the damn vaccine, people. Like that's just my opinion. That's my PSA of the day. Cam Newton finally got the vaccine. A lot was made about Cam Newton's decision not to get the vaccine. And that's partly the reason why New England wanted to move on from him. But he just came out a couple days ago and said that he got the vaccine. If it's going to affect your job, people, I think you should get the vaccine because this man right here, Nick Rolovich, he had a deal for 5 years, $15 million. That's a lot of bread to leave on the table because you don't want to get a shot. How do you feel about that, Sage? Real quick.
I mean, he's still going to get the bread. I mean, just because you fire him doesn't mean he gets all his guaranteed money. And that's just being real on that. And for him to take his stand, that's his personal choice. And I'm all for people having their own personal choice. I'm not going to bash people for what they want, what to do for their own bodies. That's if a job forces you and, what if the job forced you to do something that's not right? Would you have to do it if the job forced it or you get fired? It goes both ways. So if you make a personal choice, they said, this is what I'm doing. I'm not doing it right now. Might get later, might not, but this right now my personal choice is I'm not doing it, and I don't want to put pressure on it or throw people under the bus. I don't think that's right. I don't think that we see with just the history of the world and how things work with vaccines, and we want trust with this because I'm not saying that people not to get the vaccine, but get educated, feel comfortable when you go get the vaccine. You don't feel you're forced. Feel comfortable. Yep. That's all I would say. I'm not with the forcing. I'd rather people feel comfortable and want to go get the vaccine. And that's what we want. And I'm not with forcing. I'm not with that.
And and just to clarify, he is going to get a payout of $4.4 million. So he's only been there for 2 years. So he's basically giving up almost $10 million. I mean, I'd be fine with $4.4 million. I'd be good for the rest of my life. But yeah, it's just. When you look at a situation like that, Mo Murphy, it's not really about the money. It's also, about his future, his career. Like this is a job that he was planning on having probably for a while. So how do you feel about the situation?
So every choice has a consequence. Every human has the right to make their own choice. That's right. How I feel about it. And to speak, I'm in the military. They put a mandate on it, but you had an option. Yes, it's mandatory if you want to continue your service, and you have an option. If you do not decide to get this, here are your consequences. If you can live with those consequences, hey, by any means, you know what I'm saying? I'm not anti-vax, I'm not pro-vax, but my thing is, I made the decision to get vaccinated because that was the best decision for myself and my family.
Absolutely.
So I can't tell him he wrong. I can't tell him he right. Hey, he made the best decision for himself and his family. Was I comfortable getting vaccinated? No, but the best decision for me and my family was get vaccinated. So I'm all about choices have consequences. Whatever choice you make, if you can deal with the consequences, because that's what life is about, make a choice and know there's positive and negative consequences. But if you can make a choice and live with the consequences, then hey, by any means, coach, you know what I'm saying? And if you felt like you're taking a stand by doing it, by any means, shout out to you, coach. That's all I got to say about it.
Well, both of you guys seem to be getting. I'm pro-vax, but I'm still, I can't lie, I'm still worried about laying in bed one day and watching seeing that commercial come up, that class action lawsuit on Moderna. It's like if you start having
and it's like we have a lot of nurses losing jobs, and they had to be heroes during the whole time without the vaccine.
Yeah,
and that's what's concerning to me, is that we're forcing it, and we're taking away the heroes, and we're made a big deal about heroes, but it's not. We don't see that hero talk this year. It's kind of forgotten. So that's why I see both ways, and I'm not with the forcing, but I want people to feel comfortable when they do that.
Yeah, and if you are out there in the medical profession, thank you for your service, as well as thank you for your service, Mo Murphy. Military, everybody, we appreciate that. But now let's turn to we have a game tomorrow night. It's going to be featuring the Browns, and the Browns are having a situation right now where they had Baker Mayfield. They started off looking okay. But Baker Mayfield has regressed this year, and whether it's due to this torn labrum that he just suffered in his non-throwing shoulder, or whether it's just due to just his play just getting worse. He has 6 touchdowns in 6 games, 3 interceptions. Passer rating is down. He just doesn't look the same. Now it's just been announced that he will not start tomorrow. He will be benched because of his injury for Case Keenum. Now, I want to ask you right now, Mo, what is wrong with the Browns, and are they going to make the playoffs this season?
Oh, you be putting pressure. You sneak in questions because people
Baker wants to know. People
are gonna hold me to what I say about whether they're gonna make the playoffs. So I don't know yet. I mean, I think so. They should, but their division isn't as weak as everybody thought it was going to be because the Bengals are good. Obviously, we know how good the Ravens are. It still is a halfway decent. At the very least, they're halfway decent. But I would have to say that the problem has been Baker Mayfield. Let's just be honest here. You have Odell Beckham Jr., who's come back healthy. I know Jarvis Landry ended up getting hurt, but you got a guy, you got receivers who can stretch the field, and you got a quarterback who can't with throwing him the ball. Like, we know that he's missed Odell Beckham on multiple occasions. They've never, since Odell has been in Cleveland, they have never seemed to be on the right page.
Never had chemistry.
Yeah, and so far, my prophecy I said on my show a couple weeks ago, prior to any of this happening, I said Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are more valuable to that offense, and if they got hurt, it would be a bigger deal than if Baker Mayfield got hurt, because Case Keenum could come in and do the exact same thing. And so far, Nick Chubb did not play. Kareem Hunt ends up getting hurt late in the game, but look how handicapped that offense looked. So half of my prophecy is right, because now all I need to see is if Case Keenum can at least give me the same production that Baker Mayfield gives me, and I think he will. Because it's not like we're talking about we took Patrick Mahomes, who giving me 300 yards and 3 touchdowns a game. Yeah. No, you took away a quarterback who can game manage, throw little slant routes, not get a guy like Odell Beckham or Jarvis Landry the ball where they need it down the field. So it is Baker's fault, and the defense has been underwhelming. Let's point that out too.
Yes.
The talent is they've had the injury bug and them not performing up to the standard. We thought this was going to be a top 5 defense, so it ain't all on Baker. But on the offensive side, it's Baker's fault, and on the defensive side, it's just the defense. And then with the unfortunate injuries and them being underwhelming has also been part of the problem. So I ain't going to just blame Baker, but
will they make the playoffs? Yes or no? I got a gun to your head.
Yeah. I'm gonna go there. Yeah, they'll make the playoffs.
All right. What about you, Sage? What's wrong with the Browns, and will they make the playoffs?
Not having Chubb. He's so vocal. He's such a game changer. He has that special talent that you just can't replace. It's like a Derrick Henry. It's like you can't replace Derrick Henry. Nick Chubb is right along with the lines of with Derrick Henry. Like, you take him out of the offense, and then Kareem Hunt can only do so much, and he got hurt because he was limited. He was already banged up. He's already questionable going into that game. Mm-hmm. So then they overused him, and the play that he got hurt didn't. It happened. Now he's out for 2 to several weeks, just depending on the recovery, and that's not good. And he's a really special talent. They just lost 2 guys. They're it's Chubb, Hunt, and then everyone else.
Yeah, they run the ball exceptionally well, and they have since they've had Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. But yeah, they've been struggling. Do you think they make the playoffs?
No.
Me either. Me either. I say that because the Bengals are for real. They're serious. And
AFC is trash though. The AFC is always trash.
So, but I
So
don't
the
think
problem
three teams
is
out of the
that
AFC
there's
North
going to
get
be
in, though.
3 AFC West teams that make the playoffs.
No.
And yeah, the Chargers, Raiders,
Broncos
Chiefs.
don't make the playoffs,
The
bro.
Broncos don't make the playoffs.
I don't know if the Raiders do.
I think the Raiders do. I think they show
Man.
that their offense is actually
They look
better
they
play
put
calling.
up,
Better play calling this past
Yeah.
week. It's not. I don't want to jinx it, but
the
it was
Raiders
better
put up
play
a season high 34 points. They
looked like they left points on the board. They could have got more.
Man,
I think the Raiders and Browns will be in a dogfight for one of those wild card spots. Remember, it's 7, it's 7, not 6 no more. So it's a little bit different. Like they could both get in. Even if they have 3, it means a division winner 2. There's still one more spot left. I like the Browns over. You right. You're right. They make it playoffs. I'm gonna rock with them.
Wow. Well, this is Go Along Live. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. We are on Monday through Friday. We will be on tomorrow at 12:30. So do not miss this episode. We're gonna be talking about the preview of tomorrow night's game. We will also be talking a little bit of Dodgers. And I'm sure something else is going to happen with Ben Simmons, and we're going to have to talk about Ben again. So we appreciate y'all for tuning in. Stay focused, stay motivated, stay inspired, and remember, you're capable of anything. Mo, real quick, let them know how they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me at Upper Flames Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Mo_Cheese15 on Twitter, Instagram, and then Upper Flames Sports Podcast everywhere you can get your podcast.
All right, and Sage, go ahead. Where can they find you?
You can find me at Twitter at Sage_up. Instagram at Sage_up, and you can find me at Facebook at Sage Alvarez. All I do is a friend. And you can find me at your mom's house. I'm just playing. Y'all can find me at Radio Barry Long on Twitter, at Barry Long _II on Facebook, and at Barry Long _2. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. Go Dodgers. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Hopefully the series is tied 2-2, and we will break down Thursday Night Football. Peace.